Hey there. So you're thinking about making that move here to the great state of Utah. You want to know what some of the negative things are about actually living in Utah? Well, we've lived here almost 3 years now. So I'm going to share with you 11 things that you should know if you're thinking about making that move here. And I'm getting started right now. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Greg Spackman. I'm with the Living in Salt Lake City channel. If you are looking to make that move here, you want to know everything about what it's like living here, eating here, playing here, sleeping here, then click the subscribe button and the bell to be notified every time I do new videos. Lately, I've been getting a ton of people that are calling me, texting me, emailing me, and I absolutely love it. So if that's you, reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you about making that move here to Utah. So let's get into the video. The number one thing that you need to know if you're moving here to Utah is our drivers here are some of the worst drivers in the entire nation. I've lived in about 7 states now in my lifetime, and I've visited a bunch more. I think I've only not visited 4 or 5 states, even been to the great state of Alaska. But you're going to need to know that drivers here do not know what a red light is. So if you are driving and you are the first person in line ready to go at the green light, you need to make sure that you wait that extra second, half a second, almost to the point where the person behind you is going to, honk their horn at you because you waited too long. Just know that people run light and you're going to see one, two, three, four, sometimes 10 cars will go through a red light here. The police don't seem to really care about red light running, which it would be awesome if they did. One of these days, I'm going to sit with a lawn chair when it warms up more and just record people running the red light just so I could show what people do through the red lights here. But just know that that's an issue on the freeways. You're going to find the people drive really, really fast here. So you're going to have people you're going to be doing, 70, 75 on the freeway. Someone's going to be riding your butt and they'll do 80, 90, 100 miles an hour on the freeway. One of the things that drives me nuts is I will be going, 70, 75, and someone will drive up behind me when I'm, not in the fast lane, and they'll just ride behind me until I move over, and then they drive ahead, and then they'll ride behind the next person just until everybody moves out of their way. And I don't know why they just can't go around me, either to the right or to the left like I would do, but it just drives me nuts. So people also drive really, really fast in the snow or slush conditions when they should be driving slower. You're going to find people that do what I do and, drive what you should be driving based on the road conditions. But I think this is what helps cause a lot of accidents between the red lights, speeding, and then people driving too fast for the road condition just causes a lot of accidents. So that's number one. The number two reason you might want to avoid Utah is if you don't have a car, you really need a car to get around. So outside of living in the Salt Lake City area where they have great public transportation, the track system, the front runner train, buses, all of that, for most part of Utah, you're going to be needing your car to get around. There are some buses in certain areas, but if you live out in the middle of nowhere, you're going to have a car to get around. So that's why that's number two. The number three reason you might want to avoid living in Utah, this is something I didn't realize when we made the move here to Utah, is there is no gambling here in the entire state of Utah. There are no table games. I looked it up online, and at one point I thought they had some Texas Hold'em areas where you could go play that. That would have been cool since I'm pretty good at that. But you can't play that here in Utah at all. There are no slot machines. There's no blackjack, nothing. You're going to have to drive up to Idaho or to Nevada, depending upon where you choose to live in Utah. If you want to go to a place called Wendover, Nevada, that's about an hour and 45 minutes, for example, from Salt Lake City. Or if you're in St. George, then you're under 2 hours into Las Vegas. And that's a popular reason why people make that move to and that's a good reason why people are moving to the St. George area, is your proximity into Las Vegas. So you have a huge entire city, a great airport that you can fly out of that's, under 2 hours away. The number four reason to avoid living in Utah is if you can't handle the air quality here during the summer and during the winter time, then Utah may not be a great place for you. In the wintertime, we have something called the inversion layer that happens where warm air gets trapped by cold air, and it creates, this kind of muck feeling. Then in the summertime, we have forest fires that happen in California, Oregon, and Washington, and then the way that the wind patterns blow, they blow it all to us. We also have our own issues with that in the summertime as well, but sometimes you can't see the mountains at all. I think when we came here, I would say 4 or 5 years ago, I couldn't even see the mountain range for like 4 days while we were here at all. It didn't, and they mentioned that there are lots of red days here in Utah. However, I haven't seen any red days, which means that it's really poor air quality and you're not supposed to go out. But just know that that's possible here in Utah, and I recommend people come and visit during the winter time when we have it the worst. The number 5 reason you might want to avoid living in Utah is it is a red state. It's a conservative state. The further that you are from the major cities, the more and more conservative it gets. They have really lax gun laws here in the state of Utah and some other things that you may or may not like, but just know that it is a conservative state. When you live in the Salt Lake County area, then it's pretty much a 50-50 split, but everywhere else, for the most part, other than Moab and a little bit of St. George, it's going to be, for the most part, a conservative state. The number 6 reason you might want to avoid living in Utah is our traffic. So traffic every year gets worse and worse here in Utah as more and more people make that move to the great state of Utah. So by Utah being an awesome state to live, it creates traffic because more and more people want to move here. So when we first moved here, traffic, I guess, was so-so. It's gotten a little bit worse. It is definitely not as bad as living in Los Angeles or Atlanta or Dallas or somewhere where they have huge freeways and just a massive population. However, it takes me an extra 10 to 15 minutes if I want to travel around the 5:30 to 6:30 in the evening time. Haven't really seen it be an issue at 8 because I really don't have to be anywhere at 8 a.m. So I'm not trying to drive up to Salt Lake and having to deal with the morning traffic for the most part. Just know traffic is an issue. It probably is where you are. If you think your traffic is pretty poor, please comment below where you're coming from and what your traffic situation is like. The number 7 reason you might want to avoid living in Utah is our high house prices and rent prices. Rent is sky high here in Utah. So just know that even a 1-bedroom apartment here can run you $1,500 plus a month to stay in. So really it just matters which part of Utah you're going to be staying. You're going to be able to find cheaper rent in other areas. And we really don't help people much with the rentals since they don't allow us to help too much. We just point you to some websites so that you can look those up. But just know that you're going to have high rent here. The median home price currently sits at $475 for the entire state of Utah. Once again, that really depends on which area you are looking to make that move to. If you're looking to move to Park City, for example, you really need to be spending somewhere in the 1.4 to about $4 million range. If you're living in Salt Lake City, you're looking at the 450 to 700,000 mark. And St. George, you're going to be somewhere around that same price. And then you're going to need to spend a little bit less than that if you're in some of the outlying cities. So really it just depends on what your budget is for looking for a home, and we can help recommend some different areas based on that budget and what home size you need. Do you need a 3-bedroom home or a 20-bedroom home because you have 30 kids? So really it just depends on that. The number 9 reason you might want to avoid living here in Utah is our taxes. So we have a flat tax of 4.65%. So it doesn't matter how much money you make, you're paying 4.65%. So to me, that's pretty good. Other than where we moved from, we had no state income tax, which would be much better. And it would be amazing if they could switch us here to a no state income tax. It would make your taxes filing much easier. You just would have to file federal sales tax, 6.1%. And then they can tack on an extra 2.95% depending upon which city you live. Up to, I think, somewhere around 9% is the highest we have. So correct me if I'm wrong in the comments. Corporate taxes are 4.65% as well. Property taxes, we are the 8th lowest, I believe, in the entire nation, or at least we were the last time I looked that up. That could have changed as well. Gas tax, 31.9 cents. I don't know why they have the 0.9. They do. So it'd be cool if they just make it 32 or 31 cents. or even no cents on our gas, since I don't believe they use that money really for the highway. I'm not sure where that money goes. Um, but it'd be nice if they would, widen some of our roads more and build some underpasses, overpasses where they're needed a lot faster than what they're doing. You may ask how tax friendly Utah is for retirees. Well, I'm told that it's moderately friendly. So, Social Security tax is fully taxed, withdrawals from retirement accounts are fully taxed, wages are taxed at normal rates, and your marginal state tax is 4.65%. So, I'm not sure how that's moderate, but that's what I'm told. The number 10 reason you might want to avoid living here in Utah is our liquor laws. So 3.2% is what you're going to be able to buy in the grocery stores, which is your hard seltzer and beer, because that's all you can buy in the grocery store. You can't buy wine, can't buy like Jack Daniels or anything. Just know you're going to be going to the state-run liquor stores for anything else. There are like 4 different liquor licenses restaurants and bars can have. So you're going to find that they're a little bit different each one. Like, for instance, you can bring kids into Buffalo Wild Wings, but you can't bring your kids into like a local bar that serves food. So just know that they have a certain ratio of how much food they sell to alcohol, and certain places where you can just go in and order like a beer, then kids aren't allowed at all. So it's super silly to me that they have some of those rules. I mean, I understand certain bars where the people going to the bar may not want children there, but if they're serving burgers and fries and stuff, I don't know why I can't bring my kids into certain places and, then we could watch a hockey game, for instance. I should also make note the DUI limit in the state of Utah is 0.05%, which is the lowest in the entire nation. And that leads us to number 11 reason why you should avoid living in Utah if you can't handle this, and that's the limited nightlife. So other than living in near Salt Lake City, and there's probably a couple parts in St. George, there really is no huge nightlife scene. So the bars and clubs and that sort of thing, Utah's just not well known for that, and you're not going to be able to get that. So if you really need a nightlife scene, Utah may not be the best state for you. If you're like me and you really don't care too much about that, then make that move here to Utah. Some of you may have thought I would mention the LDS or Mormons on this list. You're going to have to stay tuned to next week to hear my thoughts on that situation. But if you're looking to make that move here to Utah, please reach out to me. Give me a call, shoot me a text, or send me an email. Heck, send the Pony Express. I'd love to talk to you about moving here to the great state of Utah. Until next time, be rad.